out to a brother who gave much love to the music. He gets much respect. Can you dig it? Yeah!
We're back. A couple episodes ago, I talked about the dual state. And the reason why I started talking about the dual state, mainly because Justice Katanji Brown, who in dissent basically made a statement. And this was, the case was Trump versus Casa. And she made a statement about the dual state. And you're probably going to hear more about that. And why are we having the conversation about the dual state? Well, because America is a dual state. It actually has been for a while, but now it's becoming much more evident. What's alarming about this dual state is that it's starting to look and sound like the continuation of the Nazi regime. I'm not going to keep you too long this evening because we've talked about the dual state, but I just kind of maybe a little bit of background information or a better way to tell the story. Maybe we'll do that tonight. So let's just get to it. On September 20th, 1938, a man who witnessed the rise of fascism packed his suitcases and fled his home in Berlin. He arranged to have smuggled separately a manuscript that he had drafted in secret over the previous 2 years. This book would turn out to be very remarkable. It clarified what was unfolding in Berlin at that time, and it was also the catalyst for this author's flight. So that paragraph that I just read to you comes from Aziz Huq. And he wrote this in The Atlantic on May of 2025. Okay? And we talked about Justice Katanji Brown Jackson. Sorry, I left the Jackson off earlier. She cited the dual states in a dissenting opinion on Trump versus Casa. So let's give just a little bit of background on the German Jewish lawyer who fled Nazi Germany. His name is Ernst Fraenkle. In 1936 and 1938, German Jewish lawyer and political scientist living in Nazi Germany named Ernst Fraenkle wrote a book called Der Doppelstaat, which in English translates into the double state. This book is hailed as one of the most sophisticated modern analyses of totalitarianism rule and the understanding of authoritarian regimes to date. The book's premise explains the dual existence of the normative state and the prerogative state, which operate simultaneously within a state, sending the state into decline, becoming a totalitarian or authoritarian state. The dual state is a model in which the functioning of the state is divided into a normative state, which operates according to a set of rules and regulations. And those rules and regulations are the laws of that land, okay? The other state is the prerogative state, which exercises unlimited arbitrariness and violence unchecked by any legal guarantees. Complete opposites. In the dual state, the state maintains its monopoly on violence, and we're seeing that on our streets pretty much playing out every day. But here's the deal. It is not the violence that gets challenged. It's the authority in which the violence is used that often gets challenged. As one man said, violence is the point. Okay? Like Hitler, Trump is very much the spectacle in words and action. His cast of cohorts appears to have come straight out of a comic book. And if you remember the Bruce Lee movie, right? Enter the Dragon, Jim Kelly. Mr. Hahn, man, you come straight out of a comic book. Well, I think these guys, they definitely come straight out of a comic book, right? By the way, Hagelsworth is interested in personally testing men's testosterone. Yeah, okay, figure that one out. All right, getting back to the story. With their often witless and bombastic remarks making the news almost daily, they're not worthy of the attention that even E.F. Hutton would desire. Yes, I'm dated. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, right? Okay, but that is the point. Spectacle is the point. Bombastic and hyperbolic rhetoric, along with violence, creates spectacle, and spectacle creates distraction, and distraction feeds into illusion. The people lose complete focus because the media bombards them 24/7 with noise being sold as real, credible information. It's as if we're watching the WWE network instead of credible news sources. Then you got to add in the fact that these so-called credible news networks try to rationalize the regime's behavior and package it in a digestible sound bites. And you now have brain-numbing confusion brought to you by the makers of the war and the architects of chaos. Okay? What we are experiencing in America has been in play for a very long time, and it's not exactly new. But what appears to be new is Trump's regime's blatant opposition to veracity and their level of absolute insanity and viciousness towards opposition and dissenting views. First Amendment, going right out the window. Freedom of the press, out the window. Democracy, out the window. The insane people who have embraced the MAGA mantra appear to be the most counterintuitive group, in my opinion, in history. They apparently have been bred for this moment, and they are rising to the occasion, literally, to be the sheep of this Jim Jones-like politician known as Donald Trump. What we are witnessing in real time is how Nazi Germany came to be it came to be right here, right now, in America. I need you to think about that, because that is exactly what we're dealing with right now. When we see these ICE shootings, the conversation is always about, do they have the right to do what they're doing? Of course not. But every time you sit there and discuss it as if it's an option for them, you're removing the options from many Americans who still believe in democracy. They don't have the right to do this. This is the prerogative state. They have the monopoly on violence. That's what this is spectacle. Instead of talking about real solutions, you're too busy talking about the spectacle. the Democratic Party looks like what the Republican Party looked like a while back, before TV personality, rich baby man handed them a lifeline. And it really wasn't him. It was the powers that be. And again, he has spoke on that, how he was almost totally broke and they threw him a lifeline. And I will guarantee you that Epstein was in that mix somewhere. And yeah, he's knee deep in the Epstein because he was going to do anything for the power. Probably one reason why he is so upset is because he's probably done some things that he didn't want to do, or he didn't enjoy. And where is Stormy Daniels now? Right? Where is her attorney? The world is a stage, and we're all players. I'm Michael P. America, and I told you I wasn't going to keep you very long. We need to change course. All I got to say is I am out of here.
The Michael P. America Show? Wow.